All right, gonna explain a couple of things, several things actually. They're gonna be they're gonna be huge questions that we've had for a really long time that scientists can't explain for some reason. I, for some reason, know it in my head. I could be wrong, but you can figure out for yourself if everything is connecting and making sense. And the reason you'll be able to do that is because I'm going to say everything that I know in a sequence of order and where things are going to fall into place. So I'm going to be explaining astrology, not really astrology, but the galaxy physics, math, numbers, reincarnation, uh, black holes, things like that. I know, that sounds crazy, but because it does sound crazy, to see if I can, right? All right. I'm gonna start off with, how do I know this? Well, I was watching a video about these extraordinary people, and it's actually a documentary, and it's called Real People. Real Stories. And in these real stories, there's a documentary about this little boy, and the name of it was The Boy with the Genius Brain. Ironically, that's my nickname, Boy, B-O-Y, also. So when I seen that, I was gonna look at it, boy, I'm boy. Anyway, so I look at it, I'm watching it, and I watched it twice. One time I was here at work, right now, and while I was at work, it's kind of hard for me to pay attention. So I watched it again at home. When I watched it again at home, I was actually able to pay attention to it, and there was this one part that hit me like exactly the way I got hit. Right there. See that? That's a scar. Well, that scar I got when I was like 10 years old or less. It was my birthday, and my cousin was throwing a rock at the piñata, which happened to be directly on the other side of where I was at. It came right back down. Bam! So in the story, documentaries of real stories, these people with extraordinary abilities end up going through some kind of experience. The kid with the genius brain, which happens to be the ultimate person of all the people with all these abilities, he ended up acquiring this ability after his seizures. He has seizures, triggered it, and then the one that bam caught my attention was the one where this black guy comes out and he says that when he was younger, he was playing baseball on the street with other kids, and they hit the baseball. He didn't see it. Bam! Hits him. Bam! Right here. Hits him right in the head. Well, when that happens, he says that right after that, he started to see this, and this guy, what he can do is he can tell you the weather of any given day, which is crazy. But I don't know if he can tell you the weather of any place on that day or any other day in any place, or just where he's at. Regardless, he's telling you the weather of the days that he probably didn't even exist. So how would he know? So, but he can, and he says, I don't know how, I just do. So he tapped into this side after the trauma that triggered. And that's when I was like, okay, does that explain the things that I know? And the kid with the genius brain, he says that the way he thinks was okay, the way he thinks, he thought that it was something normal, that everybody else does it. And it's kind of like me. I know some things, and I think to myself, why do I know these things? But it's easy for me to do. So with that being said, I seen that, and I thought, I'm gonna go ahead and give it a try. If you got abilities, you think you do, test them. When you test them, don't just test it. Go the distance. It's the reason why you have it. So here I go. Numbers is a value and an identification of everything. I'm a number, you're a number, everything's a number. So you put numbers into things and you become that number, and that number doesn't change. So in the video, the documentary, there's the genius kid. We'll just call him the genius. Right? Stick with the genius. So the genius, he's able, out of all the people, because if you're born with these abilities and you have these gifts and you're born with them, supposedly they come with a hefty price, which is some kind of disorder, disability, some kind of something like that, and you become like handicapped. But then yet again, autism and have this other ability that no one else has when you're born with it. Because I think that's how why they end up with the disability, because when they're born, it ends up adding a little bit what you should have had somewhere else, and then therefore you're lacking something somewhere else when you're born. On top of that, speaking about being born, I'm thinking this as I go. When you are born, I believe that the number that you are going to be given hasn't yet been identified. That's why kids are the smartest things in our planet until they figure out or pick and choose a path. And then until then, their number's not identified. So I'm a number, you're a number. So let's get to this quickly. So if, let's say I'm 3,000, and you're like, I don't know, 5,000, let's just say. So that number takes that number, and you are that number. And they did tests to the genius guy, the genius boy. They asked them, how do you know these things? Now, the people that had the disabilities weren't able to explain that well exactly how. And the genius actually was able to do that and interact with society. All the other ones had that disability. So they start studying him, and he's with it, so therefore they're getting information. But that information that they're getting is throwing them off even more, because they're saying, how do you know these numbers? Like, let's just say the number of pi, which that number of pi goes for an extremely long time. But he knows these numbers. Tell him, what's the square root of this and this and that? He'll look and tell you the numbers slowly, but he'll tell you the right numbers. So they say, how? And he says they just appear to him. So therefore he's not thinking about it. He doesn't have to. It just sees it. Well, let's explain that. I can, which is weird, and I know, but I can. With that being explained, it actually explains a lot of things, and that's how I'm making this video. So I'm gonna tell you right now. We're gonna start with the numbers because he talks about this. So I'm going to start with the numbers because he explained it this way, and it got me to figure out this. That's what I do. I'm able to figure things out and understand them. And I don't know how, but I can. He says that numbers appear to him. If you were to tell him some kind of equation or whatever that ends up being a certain number, well, that number stays that number, you know. And so, like, if you tell them 257, so 257 is gonna look like, let's just say, you know, a bear claw donut. You know, it looks like a mitten. And he makes the shape with the Play-Doh. And then they go, okay, so that's what you see when you see 257. Yeah, that's what I see. I see shapes. Numbers are shapes. So then they do other tests, other days, and then they come back to that number, 257, another time, another day. And they use the Play-Doh. All right, 257. I'm at work, sorry. And I gotta see a bunch of things and yeah, a lot of stuff. Anyways, 257. And he sees the shape, bear claw. Well, the shape of the bear claw, right? Later on, they ask him again some other day. So they give him an equation that's gonna end up coming up as the number 257. So it does, you know, they do it again. And he says, okay, so that's the number, you got it. All right. What did you see then when you came up with this number? Here's a Play-Doh, make the shape. The shape was pretty much the same. So with that being said, the shape doesn't change. So why does that shape have that number? Well, if you think about it, which I did, and I'm able to understand that. I don't got no degree. I went to ITT Tech for about a year and a half, and about a year. And I had to learn matrix, and that's actually gonna end up being in this video too. I had to learn matrix, and which I understood it, but I can't. And so we are all numbers. I'm 3,000 whatever. And the shapes that he's seen were certain numbers. That's what I mean about we're all numbers. We don't change. It doesn't change. As a kid, it's figuring it out. And so this explanation, pi, that's a number. He says pi to him was a beautiful number. It's comforting. He says it makes him feel good. It's, you know, so, you know, it's weird. So now he says that, but certain numbers, so now 1 through 9, you can make any number, with 1 through 9, with those numbers, you can make any number. And obviously there's 0. But 1 through 9, make any number. So he says pi, all this number, and, you know, he likes that number for a reason. So he explains it. I'll explain it. And he says that the number 6 is the most elusive number and hard to see. So, like he says, it's hard to see, it's hard to distinguish, it's the hardest number. He doesn't like that number. He's got some kind of feeling towards that number. It's weird. But he says, but number 9, happens to be the biggest number. He says it's big, it's the tallest number. It's intimidating. He says it's very intimidating because it's so big, it's large. So now this is crazy because I'm putting everything together. Nikola Tesla, he had a fascination with the number 3. If I'm wrong, please correct me. But I think it was the number 3. He did everything 3 times. You know, if he went somewhere, he went around the block 3 times. If he, I don't know, whatever it was, probably brushed his teeth 3 times. He didn't like the number 2 because it was an incomplete number and it wasn't a 3. So let's just say numbers. We are 3. We're divine. We are in sequence, harmony, if we wanted to. But we're not, because we are not understanding. So with that being said, let's just say we're 3. And we're trying to get to 9, which 9 is the creator. The creator. Okay. Why would I say that? Give me a second. Tell me if it doesn't make sense. So 3 is actually a crazy number because let's say we're 3 and we're trying to get to 9. Now, in transition of 3 to 9, we get to 6 before. 3, 6, 9. Now, 6 was an elusive number that he couldn't really, it was hard to tell. He couldn't see very well. He never can. He doesn't like it. So 666, yeah, you know what that means. At least what we think it means. So it kind of makes sense. So we get into 9. 3 goes into 3 how many times? 3 times. Ends up being 9. So then at that point, I'm like, okay. Because 9 is everywhere. It's creator. You need the number 9 in a lot of things, it seems like, period. But then yet again, the number 6 is the transition to number 9. So when you get to number 9, you have to go through 6, but you're needing number 3 to make it happen. So therefore, 3 transition, and then you get to 9, creating. Well, number 9 happens to be in everything, as in like 360, a full circle. 3 plus 6, 9. Half of that, half of a circle would be 180, which happens to be 1 plus 8, 9. Angles, 45-degree angles. 4 plus 5, 9. And so on and so on and so on. So what I'm trying to get at is this number 9 is everywhere. So for something to happen, it's got to have a lot of 9 in it. A lot of numbers. Everything is a number. Everything. I'm a number. You're a number. Oh, damn it. Man, I wish I could finish this. So, let's see if I can still do this while I'm doing it. I don't think I'm going to be able to. So, pause this. Alright. My bad, I'm back. Had a little problem, but I figured it out. So like I was saying, number 9. It's everywhere. And if you think about it, so everything is a number. You, me, everything's a number. If you put us in this number in a matrix kind of way, and this is the reason why you get quantum physics and all that stuff, computing quantums, because they know what I know. I just happen to know it and explain it without going to school for this. So it's kind of odd to me. And you know, and like I said, matrix was going to be in this video, so I mean, you know, this is pretty much it. So let's put it in a matrix kind of way. You're a number, I'm a number, and let's just say, damn it. Okay, I'm back again. Sorry. Alright, so where were we? See? On. Sandra Rose go. And oh. Yes. There we go. Alright, we're back. So number 9, transitioning 6. Number 9, creator, matrix. We're all numbers. And let's put everything. Everything has a number. Tree's got a number. This has got a number. That's got a number. And you know, that's got a number. Panels. See, now this is where it gets tricky. These panels, it used to be a tree, and that was a number. And then we split that tree into a bunch of numbers. Okay, now this is where the expansion of the galaxy comes in. So we're numbers. Imagine a big square cube, and in that humongous square cube there is a bunch of little cubes. Every little cube inside it is a number. Like us, we're one of them. So you get that number, put it in a big square cube. Now, in order for things to move around in a constant harmony way, and there will be one, it has to move around. Now, this is where black holes come in. And also, you know, let me explain it real fast. The black hole has to be there, no matter what. For the reason of, if it wasn't for that void, that hole, we wouldn't be able to transition. Get it? 6. So hard to see, elusive. That's because it's supposed to be that way. That's the wormhole. That's the way you can get around things without the laws. Okay? Without the laws. In that wormhole, there is no law. There's nothing really. But will it do? I'll tell you what will it do. And this is crazy. Why would I know this? It will put you where the next goes. I don't know. It's hard to explain. But it'll put you there. Because of the reason of that if it wasn't for that void, we would be all bunched up with each other. Really bunched up. We wouldn't be able to move. There has to be motion. There has to be synchronization. Now, reincarnation, these kids in those stories, they actually remember who they were before they're kids. And most of the kids that remember would explain themselves as usually as a tragedy that happened when they were before life of that. Before that, one of them was they ended up being burned alive in a house or something like that. She remembers, which is a tragedy, but it happened. And then the other one was that it was a little boy, and he remembered that he was a mother that went through some kind of, I don't know, a bad experience, ended up committing suicide with her and her child into a river, jumped into a river. The crazy thing about all this is that these stories do exist, and what they're saying does connect, and they're there. Crazy. How and why? Let me explain that. In order for this to happen, there has to be some kind of ruckus. It has to happen. If it doesn't, that's where you get them kind of numbers. They come in and are made. It's like insurance. It's gonna happen. You know, numbers are helping other numbers. Numbers are creating other numbers. And so therefore, these numbers are just everywhere. And so when this is happening, those numbers are there to make sure this is the law and this is what's gonna happen. And so therefore, they're like in this. Geez Louise, this machine is a pain in the ass. All right. Hopefully way I don't have troubles again. But so these numbers have to be there to make this happen. They're like insurance in life. It's gonna, if something doesn't go in order, here comes that number, does something crazy, and sends it to that direction. The void, imagine the squares and the square and us being in there jammed up. If we had no void, we wouldn't be able to move around in that square. You know what I mean? We couldn't be able to. We wouldn't have room to be moved around to get to where we're needed to do, to things to keep rotating. The world has a circulation. Everything runs in a circular mode. I think we know that. So you got all that. You got voids. You got that. The matrix. Everything numbers. That's the way it goes. Gotta go. Sorry guys, I keep cutting out. I work at this place where I have to run this whole machine. I run this whole place, and I get people coming up here quite often, and so therefore I have to attend to them, and I'm making a video at work, so it doesn't look right. So anyways, in a circular motion, that where we were at? Fibonacci sequence, the best way to fill a certain area as quick as possible, the shortest distances. Yeah, all of these things come into play when things are being moved around. So, you know, murderers and all that stuff, they're the shortest way to get there, I'm sure of it. So now they remember, because I think they're in a loop, stuck, making sure that it's crazy because we don't know who they are yet. Now we're their numbers, we're in the cube. So expansion of the galaxy. How can I explain that? Real easy. When you get a number, like me, you, or a tree, we end up doing this to that tree. So what does that mean? It means we made one number, split that number to many numbers. That's where things get complicated.
That number.
And
That number.
we are like a disease. And like a disease, we're just putting our hands into everything like a little kid, not giving up about what the consequences are. So scientists say, we have been observing the galaxy, and we came to find out the galaxy is expanding. Yeah, because of us. We just turned a number into a bunch of more numbers, and this video happens to be another number. It's just how it is. It's just how it is. Numbers. You know, it took number 9 to make this number here because it was created, and some along the ways we went through 6 and had to use 3. Yeah. So math, we did not invent it. It was discovered, but then yet again with the numbers, we invent other numbers. So this is the reason why you guys are seeing 2 things at once. Parallel worlds. Yes, dimensions. Gotta happen. So we are a number, you're a number, but we're not far from each other. Therefore, we can see each other, and we're in the same area, same place, in the box, in the square. If we were numbers far from each other, then we would not be able to see, understand, or interact with each other because we're nowhere near that area. So, like, I believe that the reason why we're here, what happens, is to be able to do things that you cannot do with other numbers. We are the experiment to figure out if we can be put into a sequence to see if we are the solution. Diseases, viruses, not particularly a bad thing. Viruses can get you sick. Viruses can mess up your computer. But then virus is like some kind of how can I say, a cleanser, cleans it. If we happen to have some kind of disorder, or we get sick from something else, we can use a virus to kill another virus. It's known, which makes sense. That's a number killing another number, using a number, using another number. And I'm sure that 0 has a lot to do with that number. See what I'm getting at? So there's certain numbers, and let's say 1 through 0 are numbers that are like fundamentals. It needs those numbers, or else it just doesn't happen. Where did those numbers come from? For sure, that's the big question. You know, how did they become? Well, you know, that is the big question. I haven't really put thought into that yet. I'm barely right here at this place, and I'm putting everything together real quick, as fast as I can. So I got a lot more to explain and a lot more to figure out. This has been 32 minutes. I decided that I was going to try to make it 30-minute as quick as possible and try to explain everything. And my name is Elias Diaz. If you really did like this, like what they always say, subscribe. And if you guys do and make it happen and blow this out of proportion, I'm going to be explaining a lot more things. Later.